Well, folks, good evening to you one and all, and welcome to the Second Gear Studios down here in Velgeligen in the getting colder and soon to be wet Cape Town. Joining me this evening for something a little bit different, a bit of a preview of how the future's going to look. Frankie Innes, and he's going to be the voice of West Province Motorsport that you can hear down at Killarney International on a Saturday morning as well. Frankie, good evening to you.
Gary, good day, and everybody watching this production. And Western Province Sports and GT Masters and Elites. Personally, I would actually call the Elites Masters and the Masters I would call veterans. That sounds a lot more nicer than what it is. However, it is the way it is, so there's no problem with that. I want to say big thanks to 2+3 Post Productions. That's Stephen Duplessis, and they are based here in Cape Town in Salt River. We want to say a big thanks to Stephen Duplessis for the sponsorship of this event, and to Gary Fleming of Second Gear Productions. We come to you from FUJI Speedway, and it's something different. The over 40s are in the Toyota 86s, and the under 40s, the juniors, they are in the Spec Racer Ford. Now, that's a motor car that I don't know too much about, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, it's going to be pretty good fun. 2 25-minute races. And the pit stops, Gary, that's going to be a whole interesting scenario.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, so we've got two different cars, we've got two different groups. We've got as Frankie said, the elites, the youngsters, and we got the masters. So after season 8 of West Province Sports and GT Masters, we now got this bit of a variety. The man you see out on track there, that's Luke Lucchese. He was the one that came up with this idea. We're into the qualifying, so we're going to have two different cars, two different classes, and the way that it's set up is to ensure that there is a difference, what they call a BOP, a balance of performance between the two groups. So this time around, this is the second time that we're doing this. So now the youngsters have got the quicker cars, and the slower guys have got the older guys have got the slower car at the tail end of the pack.
Right, that is Lucchese you saw out there. Look at Yuri Swart. He's already the quickest man out there. He's done a 154.498. That is Yuri Umpi Swart, and that's what the Spec Ford Racer or Spec Racer Ford looks like. Looks like a very big go-kart to me, to be honest with you. And back to Luke Lucchese out on the track. Well, the times are coming through now. Now, the under 40s, the elites as they call them, they are with the yellow around the number, and the over 40s, the masters, that is the blue that surrounds that number. And obviously leading that group will be Luke Lucchese, pole in class, 5th overall, and then pole in class and overall is Yuri Swart from Luke King, Byron Mitchell, and Chase Herald. But only 5 minutes of the 10 minutes has elapsed so far.
So Luke Lucchese from Willem Botha in the Masters, then Johan Ferry, he's out there on another lap, and then we've got Peter Hubert in his favorite colors, the Pennzoil colors. That's what he likes, sometimes with a black strip at the bottom, most times not. JJ van der Merwe, same color as what he had with the previous round that we had. Then Herman Lazarus, the man from cheapercars.co.za. Swayze Hubert out there as well. Highest speed he got to is 199. Then we've got Peter van der Spey, Captain Pete, and then Willem Pina. He's put up a time as well. So we're waiting for Troy Dolenchik. He hasn't got a time yet. He's got Umpi, Luke, Byron, and Chase. They bedeck the two front rows of the grid so far. As soon as that young lad puts up a time, believe you me, it's probably going to be pretty quick. The next man that's going to put up a time there looks like it's going to be Low Wrigley. And a big thanks to Low Wrigley for the first round that we did, the fun
event. Yeah.
He was in fact the sponsor of that, was Low Wrigley, and this time being Stephen Duplessis from 2+3 Post Productions. They're based in Cape Town, down in Salt River. So Umpi Swart, Luke King, Byron Mitchell, and Chase Herald. And then where does Troy Dolanchik come into the picture? Here he comes now. Let's see where he is going to get himself onto the grid.
So we'll have a look-see. We put the track map on if we can, and see if we can find out exactly where that number 19 car is working its way around. Well, it won't show yet, because he hasn't put a time up yet.
Yeah, once he's got 8 time,
yep,
it will then show from there on.
Correct.
Out.
So he is busy making his way down the home straight now. So we'll have a look and see. There's the pit entrance on his right hand side. Where will he slot in?
Front row.
And no, he won't have a time, Gary. Remember, on that lap he went racing over the grass, so that lap time will be deleted.
Hectic. So he's got one chance, and that's right now. That's not a good way to start it. Troy Dolanchik puts himself under a little bit of pressure. Christopher Burish also out there. Christopher hasn't put up a lap time yet. Neither has Eugene Manuk or Troy Dolanchik, and Carl Heidemann I don't see out on circuit at the moment. That rounds off the top 20 that we have for today's race.
So that's 77. That is Christopher Burish, oval track ace from the SWD area from George. He represents George Motor Club out there when he races 1660s, 2.1s. He's done them all as that man out there with a 77, Chris Burish. And I think it's the second time that we see Chris on the main circuit for iRacing. There he goes, down the main straight. Let's have a look and see where he's going to slot that 77 car in. Crosses the start-finish line now, and he's in P15. And he done a 2:01.125.
Not much time left then for Troy Dolanchik. Is he still out on circuit? Yes, he is. Is he going to make it in time? He's got a minute and a half, so yes, he will. So having, shall we say, fluffed the first lap as he went wide, and if you go wide and outside of the track limits, then it's the same as in Formula 1. It does not recognize that time at all.
So this is down the main straight. Let's hope that he hasn't made a mistake out there. He'll cross the line now, and in second position,
as
in
I said,
P2,
front row of the grid
with a 154.591.
93 thousandths of a second. That's what it took. So there's just 3/4 of a minute still to go. Still a couple of guys out there. There's Low Wrigley, our sponsor of the previous event. And he's got no sign writing on that motor car, just the number 4 that's on there as he works his way around. So Umpi Swart and Troy Dolanchik, well, Luke King's on his way into the pits, and Byron Mitchell, is he on a flyer? No, I think he's just cruising around. So I think that'll, yeah, he's going to stop that motor car, so that's as far as he's going to go. Here's Low Wrigley. Let's see where, I don't think he's going to make it to the start-finish line in time.
Well, he's down the main straight. He's got a couple of seconds left.
Oh, can he make it? Can he make it? I don't think so. It's 3 seconds to go.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He will start in 6th position.
With a second to go. So let's have a look at that grid. There we go. Umpi Swart from Troy Dolanchik on the front row of the grid. Luke King from Byron Mitchell. Chase Herald from Low Wrigley. That is our elites.
And then in the Masters, Luc Lecchesi from Johan Fourie, Willem Botha from Pieter Hubert, Robbie Teings from JJ van der Merwe, Swiss Hubert from Herman Lazarus.
Willem Pinaar, Christopher Burish, Ian Riddle, and then Peter van der Spey there as well. So let's go and have a look and see how it's going to look when they're out there on the circuit. Let's give you a nice full view of exactly what we're going to have. And let's get them all lined up, nice and neat, as everybody starts joining in. Ooh, a lot of the guys still missing there. Umpi, Troy, Luke, Chase, Peter van der Spey, Carl Heidemann, who has not put up a lap time, and I don't see him coming onto the grid now at the moment either.
Yeah, we're still waiting for Yuri Swart, Troy Dolanchik, Luke King, and Chase Herald. Only 2 of the juniors or elites has pitted. gridded so far, I should say. We're still waiting for Peter van der Spey in 18th position. There, Troy is now come on, Luke is on, Byron's on. We're still waiting for Yuri and for Chase, waiting for Peter van der Spey. And somehow I don't think we're going to have Heidemann. He didn't do the qualifying stint.
Yeah, that's a bit of a pity. And
Byron Mitchell is missing.
yeah, Byron Mitchell hasn't gridded. That means he might end up having to start from the pit lane. Oh dear, that's a major loss. Yep, and his name just drops down on the board. So if Byron Mitchell has been blown away by Eskom in some other format, that's going to cause a bit of a problem for him.
Yeah, it's 20-9. That's highly unlikely. He might have some other kind of connection issues.
Well, that stretched the pack out quite a bit. I see Umbi Swart from Luke King and Troy Dolenchik, Chase Harold and Low Wrigley. That's going to be our juniors. And then Christopher Burish, that starts a bit further back. But remember, he's a multiple South African champion, 1660s, and then also in the 2.1 modified saloons on Gravel Oval. He will be there amongst the masters. And Byron Mitchell and Carl Heidemann have, in fact, not joined up on the grid at all.
Right, so we are about to get going. We'll get the track map up so we can tell you exactly where they are. They're coming out the final corner. They are coming out that final corner. There is the pit entrance on their right-hand side. The safety car did, however, roll through.
But now they're holding for the lights. You see the gap that they have there, Frankie? They were asked to keep that gap between the two classes. Hence that big gap that you see.
So the safety car has actually gone into the pits already. The light should go to green pretty soon. Only 5 of the under 40s out on track, and we go green, and away they go. And it is Dolenchik that's trying to muscle his way through there on Luke King. They tucked in there just behind Umpi Swart, and then the 5th man in that group is Low Wrigley. But diving through was Chase Harold. He goes wide, and that allows Umpi back into the lead again. Here comes Luke Lekesi into turn number 1. Johan Fourie right in there with them. Then we've got Peter Hubert that's coming through there on that Valvoline car. Robbie Teens is also in that top 3 as they work their way around.
Yep, that's going to be Luke Lekesi. That was the pole sitter initially in that group. Let's go back to the elites at the front end. Oh, look how close they are together.
Well, they are very, very close together. We'll get the track map up for you. We can show you exactly where these guys are working their way around the circuit. There's the intervals. Battle box will come up, and then you've got all the information that you need. It is Dolenchik that sits there in that 2nd position. Luke King is right there on his case. Luke tries to run around him on the outside. There's a big lockup, and Chase Harold is in trouble going into that little chicane.
Yeah, there comes the leader of the seniors, the masters, Luke Lekesi from Johan. Oh, Luke Lekesi, Johan Fourie. We haven't seen a one-on-one between the two of them for a long time. And then just behind that is the frequent flyer, Peter Hubert from Willem Botha.
Yeah, Willem Botha, and then Robbie Teens, the two Toyota Gazoo racing cars are right in there, and then coming through there is Swys Hubert, and just behind him is Herman Lazarus. But we go to the business end of the field. It is Yuri Swart. Then we see the 19 car of Dolenchik. They're busy working their way down the home straight. They are side by side. There is 0.003 of a second between them. That is nothing. They are right there. They both have the identical fastest lap times as they race down towards turn number 1 and 2.
Well, they're right alongside one another. That's looking across from oh, look at that. And they go 3 abreast initially into the corner, and there he goes, taking the lead.
So Yuri Swart is in the lead for now, but here comes Dolenchik. Dolenchik is right in there as they make their way through Coca-Cola corner. Luke Lekesi sits in his class ahead there of Johan Fourie. Peter Hubert is in that third position, and behind him is Willem Botha and Robbie Teens.
Johan Fourie, Luke Lekesi. We haven't seen a one-on-one between these two for quite a long time, and it's something that a lot of us would actually cherish to see that one last for a long, long time. Chase Herald is back in the game.
Yeah, Chase Herald is right back in that again. He's having a go there at Wrigley, and no, it's not. He's having a go at Umpi. Umpi Swart is in that second position. Then we've got Chase Herald, and Luke King is in that fight as well. Wrigley is a little bit further back, is low. There he comes through as we've lost somebody at the back of the field. It's one of the...
Swayze Hubert, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure who it is right now, but here comes Peter Hubert. He's sitting there in that 8th. You're quite right, Gary. It is a 22 car, the Valvoline car of Swayze Hubert.
Hard onto the brakes, closes up nice and neatly, and that's one thing that I can tell you. Having done a fair amount of driving with the GR88, you either brake or you turn. If you brake and you start turning and you don't start unloading the brake pedal, the back end just comes around. There's nothing you can do about it, and that I can tell you from personal experience, because I use the GR88 when it comes to getting the I rating up on the iRacing.
Right, these four of them are virtually side by side, and it is in front, and it's Swart that is trying to make his way through. They're actually putting a lap there on Byron Mitchell, believe it or not. He did come out. He's in 19th position, and he is 2 laps behind everybody else.
Well, he had problems there. He came out of the pits, and you can see them coming in the background. So he waited for them to come through and then pull in at the back of the pack. So that's nice. He has opportunity to race with them, but not affect their positions.
Well, he sits 6th in class, even though he's 19th overall, and the last man out on track because Heidemann is not there. So, as you see them there, it is Yuri Swart that sits out there in P1. Dolacek is right in there with him. Then it's Luke King. Then we got Mitchell, who unfortunately is a back marker, and he mustn't get himself involved in any of these fights. He must try and stay right out of it, because he is 2 laps adrift on everybody else.
Let's go back to the front end of the seniors, and Johan Fourie has in fact got past Luke Lekesi.
Yeah, Fourie sitting out there in P1. He's 0.6 of a second ahead there of Luke Lekesi, 7th overall and 2nd in class. Then we've got Peter Hubert. He's been hassled heavily there by Willem Botha. Botha sitting right on the case, is 0.6 of a second between Hubert and Botha for P8 and 9, which is 3rd and 4th in class as they work their way down that long home straight.
So pretty interesting to see that turn up. We missed out on that passing maneuver. We'll try and pick it up for you and see exactly how that one did play itself out.
Fourie in the pits. Johan Fourie is in pit lane.
So he's done an early into the pits, has Johan Fourie. So that takes Luke Lekesi back to the front end of the field behind Luke Lekesi. There we go. It's Peter Hubert. Oh, Peter Hubert and Willem Botha. Willem's got it. Willem's got it. Willem Botha moves up into 2nd position, but remember that they minus one of their big hitters who has gone into the pits, and that in Johan Fourie.
Well, Johan has been in the pits quite long, as a matter of fact. He is back out on track again, but he's all the way down in that 14th position. Let's go to the sharp end of the field. That is Yuri Swart fighting it out there with Troy Dolacek. Then behind the back marker, we have got Chase Herald and Luke King that are busy chopping and changing positions. And I say once again, Mitchell should back out of this. He's not in that fight. He's had a horror show by rejoining late, and he's proving nothing by mixing it up there with the front runners.
Yeah, look, it is a fun race, but the other guys are all on the same lap, and let's just hope it doesn't turn to tears at all as Umpi Swart goes to the front end. Oh, and turning it in very tight was Troy Dolacek.
Right, Dolacek wants to come in. Luke is in there behind Dolacek. It's Luke King. Luke King, and right on Luke King's case is a Chase Herald, and not too far behind them is a Low Wrigley, as this group of spec racer Fords work their way down into turn number 1. Here comes the Toyota GR86s. Luke Lucchesi from Willem Botha, from Pieter Hubert. Not too far behind him, you see Herman Lazarus. Well, he's 9 seconds behind Hubert as Lazarus. And then that lime green Toyota of JJ van der Merwe.
Yep, behind that is Christopher Burish, who's not in sync with his class, but he's the newbie. Then we've got Sway Chauvet, Willem Pena comes through, then Johan Fourie, but he is the only man that has been in and out of the pits already. Then we've got Ian Riddle, and he's in a battle there with Peter van der Spey. Ian Riddle will be at Aldous Scribanti next week, Saturday, with the SA Endurance Series and the other classes that are racing down there. Let's go back to Troy and the boys.
Yeah, Troy Dolacek and them are busy having their own little fight there. It's Dolacek and it is Yuri Swart. And then behind them we see Luke King, Chase Herald. Not far behind them is a Low Wrigley. Never mind the 7 car, he's 2 laps down. As a matter of fact, this shows that he's 1 lap down. It initially showed that he's 2 laps down, but he is 1 lap adrift on these guys. Right in there with them, as it is now Dolacek that sits out there in P1. This is very, very close between this group of cars. It's Dolacek, it's Swart, it is King, it is Herald and Wrigley, and I think Oompie Swart got tagged. Oompie Swart did get tagged, yes, and he's now in P5, and he could be caught here by Lucchesi and Botha.
Yeah, very possible, because there's not that much between them. Let's just see how that one played itself out.
Well, he did that one all by himself.
And let's see. Oh, just a little bit, but he gets it going pretty quickly. And is he getting closed down by Luke? Yep. There you can see Luke Lucchesi not that far behind him. But Oompie will make a plan to make a gap. You better believe it. There is Luke Lucchesi, and let's see what it looks like if we look forward from his nose cone. That little dark dot that's moving around at the front, that is Oompie Swart, so not too close, not a problem. I do believe that Chase Herald is starting to put the pressure now on Luke King.
Chase Herald, yes, on Luke King, as Dolacek is busy ducking and diving all the way around. He's probably saying, come on Mitchell, get out of my way. You're not involved in this fight, and you're not going to make it difficult for us unnecessary. They are side by side, and King has now got the leading class. Yes, he has. He's got the leading class. Dolacek sits second. Chase Herald is in third, followed by Low Wrigley and Yuri Swart. Yuri Swart will come into view. There he comes into view in the top of your screen. And there's 4.7 seconds between Yuri and the leader of the Masters, Luke Lucchesi, who's been hassled here by Willem Botha and Pieter Hubert.
Willem Botha having a pretty good run, and well, we're becoming accustomed to Pieter Hubert being there and thereabouts every single race.
Yeah, then there's 12.7 seconds before we see Herman Lazarus. That's there in that 9th position as we ride aboard with a Pennzoil car. There's the man from cheapercars.co.za sitting out in P9 overall, and that is Herman Lazarus. 12.7 seconds, 13.2 I should say, behind Pieter Hubert.
Then there's the next man behind that, Johan Fourie, but he's already done his pit stop. There comes Sway Chauvet, and he's got a fair gap between himself and Ian Riddle. Remember, Ian Riddle was involved with an off earlier on. And talking about an off, Peter van der Spey's had a bit of an incident as well.
Yeah, Peter van der Spey, let's have a look-see.
Trying to close the line.
That's going down the main straight and heading into turn 1. And loses the track there for a brief moment. There you see Van der Merwe come through on him as well.
So let's go back to the front end of the field, and Troy Dolacek has just taken over the lead.
Dolacek has taken over the lead, as a matter of fact, and Luke King just got shunted out the way. He finds himself there behind Chase Herald, and closing up on them is Yuri Swart, as this group makes its way into the 100R. And from there they'll make their way towards the hairpin. through 100R they go. Then they've got a very tight left-hander, that is the hairpin. That's where they're working their way through now. Not very easy. And then they go into 300R and Dunlop corner. Here we go. Botha sits behind Lucchese, and right on his case is Pieter Hubert in the Pennzoil car.
We just passed halfway in the race, so any time from here on out it's possible. But as always, Johan Fourie early into the pits, get himself into a bit of open ground. I see Ian Riddle's gone in as well. So let's just have a look where Johan Fourie is. Did he get it right in terms of his pit? All the open ground in front of him, all the open ground behind him. It's Johan Fourie versus the circuit. It's up to everybody else to fight everybody else. And once they go in for their pit stops and they come out, that we'll see how we then play it out with Christopher Burridge that had an accident and he's now gone into the pits. Let's just see what happened with Christopher Burridge in the 77 with the GC Concrete colours on the side. That's the family business, GC Concrete in Georg, otherwise known to English people as George.
Is it Mossel Bay?
Yeah, in fact they are in Mossel Bay.
Mossel Bay,
100%
yes.
Correct. They are in Mossel Bay. We were in fact there not that long ago, and look at this.
Right, here comes the fight heading into turn number 1, and it is still Troy that sits out there. Low Wrigley, while all this has happened, has worked his way silently into that second position with Lou King in that third, and then Chase Herald a bit further down, having his own little fight there with Yuri Swart.
A big thanks to 2+3 Post Productions, Stephen Duplessis sponsoring me this fun event, and it's actually a pity we don't see Stephen Duplessis out there on the circuit. I'm sure he's sitting at the house in the man cave and busy watching the racing and enjoying getting the pressure off himself and watching the other people sitting under a whole heap of pressure.
So Wrigley and King are sitting in that second and third positions respectively. It is side by side. Yeah, Lowe sits on the outside. He's going to get his nose ahead of King. Right now King still stays there ahead of him. Lowe has a lunge. I think that might be turns 10, 11 and 12 that they're busy working through. That's just past the Dunlop corner. So it's very tight. As a matter of fact, it is. They're now going into Nets corner, which will take them into Panasonic, which is the final turn before they hit that long home straight. And Peter van der Spey is in pit lane.
Okay, just for interest's sake, for the folks watching this one, there is what they call a BOP, a balance of performance, which has been laid out by Luke Lucchese, and he set it up that both different cars for the juniors and the seniors, they need to have a pit stop. Unfortunately, the way that iRacing presents the car, which is driven by the seniors, the GR88, there wasn't provision to bring in the lesser fuel for the pit stop. So that drive-through by Johan Fourie does not show as a pit stop to date.
Yeah, Low Wrigley is in the pit area. He's the first of this leading group of elites in the Ford Spec Racer that has pitted. And he is currently in that 8th position, but he's still in pit lane. We should see him go out now. There it is, Luke Lucchese. This little fight still going on here. Luke Lucchese, Willem Botha and Pieter Hubert. That's first, second and third in class. And they are making their way into 180. Sorry, I need 180R. I'm thinking of Suzuka. 100R. That's where they are going through now.
Now keep in mind that at this stage of the fight, Luke Lucchese, Willem Botha, Pieter Hubert and Herman Lazarus have not done a drive-through, not a penalty, because of the fact that they have got enough fuel, but it was determined that they must all do drive-throughs unless they change that we don't know about. As far as I know, that is still the plan with 20 minutes before we actually went into the race. So they've still got to go through the pits. So don't count out Johan Fourie. He's not that far behind.
Well, as you say, that is the original plan, unless something else has changed. The driver's briefing and we weren't notified. So we are working on what we were initially told throughout the day. Right, let's go back to that leading group. It's been led there by that 19 car of Troy Dollarcheck. He's got Luke King right there in his case, and not too far behind them is Yuri Swart and Chase Herald.
Yeah, nothing much in it whatsoever, and they obviously using, they're all diving into the pits or trying to dive in the pits at the same time. And look at that, how's that for late braking?
Well done, Oompie.
And make up a position. How's that?
Yeah, is that going to be allowed though? Well, you know what, you don't know if you don't try, and Yuri tried that, but the older drivers in the Toyota GR86s busy working their way through. That's your leading trio of Luke Lucchesi, followed there by Botha, and by Hubert.
So some of these guys just going straight through, others of them are stopping, and that's going to break up that group completely. I don't know why they just did the straight drive through. As far as I know, they don't have enough fuel to make it all the way through. Maybe they're just taking a chance. So Luke Lucchesi from Willem Botha, nothing much between the two of them. Pity Hubert dropping just a little bit back. None of them have been into the pits. Then we have Chase Herald, who also has not been into the pits yet, from Troy Dollarcheck, and then there's Oompie Swart that's in there. There's the Wrigley that's right there, not that far behind them. And then we have a bit of a gap back to Herman Lazarus, who in fact is 4th overall in class. As you can see, 1st, 2nd and 3rd, and then Herman Lazarus, he's still got to go into the pits, and then Johan Fourie. So Swys Hubert is into the pits now, and he finds himself 8th overall in class and in the pit lane at the moment.
Yeah, but remember, Johan Fourie's fight is not with the drivers that are driving those cars that you see on screen there. His fight is with Lucchesi, Botha, and Pieter Hubert. That's currently 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. He should clear Herman Lazarus. So here we go. This is a replay of Oompie Swart. Chase Herald sitting right there as well. Does Chase lose the tail end? No, he just goes through and then eventually loses the tail end, and that is coming out of Dunlop corner, turns 10, 11 and 12. That's a horrible little right-left right chicane.
So Luke Lucchesi and Willem Botha go through,
Pieter
and
Hubert.
Pieter Hubert says, well, I can't do anything much else. Climb on the brakes, and he slows it down in time. So this should be just a straight drive through. It shouldn't be necessary for him to stop. There's no damage on the car. There is enough fuel in it. It's just that they determined that just to make it interesting, they have to go through the pit lane. So you'll run all the way through, and it looks like by the time he comes out, the cheapercars.co.za car of Herman Lazarus is going to have gotten past him as well. Let's see as he comes out.
Yeah, and then I think Johan Fourie might even have a run at him as well. Yeah, there comes Johan. Will Johan get his nose ahead of Pieter Hubert? And he will do just that as they work their way through turn number 1.
Remember the early call into the pits by Johan Fourie. Herman Lazarus has not been in yet. Neither has Luke Lucchesi or Willem Botha. Willem's putting a lot of pressure on Luke Lucchesi. He actually wants to try and get ahead of Luke and then go into the pits.
Yeah, they are busy working their way now into a Dunlop corner. This is this horrible right. Then you swing it left into turn 11, and then right again into and through turn 12. Then you got a bit of a run before you get to turn 13 is what they're going through now. Then it's into turn 14, which is also a hairpin. It's called Nets corner. And then from there, they go into turn 16, which is Panasonic corner, and then down that long home straight.
So let's see, are they going to go in on this lap? Because if that's the case, then you need to look at Johan Fourie, because that is going to be the man that's going to be decisive.
They are.
Yep.
Yes, they are.
All right, so the two of them go.
No, only one goes in. Botha went in, Lucchesi went in and then turned to the left. And Luke Lucchesi kept on going.
So, hy het gemik, soos hulle in Afrikaans sê. Hy het gemik. Capacantu, and then he dived out of it and he carries on. Remember, there's only 3 minutes to go. Luke Lucchesi still has to go into the pits. Willem Botha is busy with his drive-through, but now here comes Troy Dolenchik and the boys, and they are going to be... Oh, Chase Herald there with them as well. Not that far off is Chase Herald, and then Willem Botha is going to come out of the pits. And where will he find himself? Ahead of Johan Fourie. So Luke Lucchesi and that man that you see there on track, Willem Botha, both of them still find themselves, even though Johan Fourie went in early, at open ground in front, open ground behind. It didn't pay off this time. Now Luke Lucchesi, right at the end of this race, still has to go back into the pits.
So let's have a look and see if Fourie can get past Botha. There's 1.2 seconds there, but we go back to this fight that's busy raging on with the elites. And it is still Dolenchik that leads this one from the 39 car of Yuri Swart that wants to go between himself and Mitchell. That's a back marker. The two of them are side by side. They're sitting first and second in class, but second and third overall, as Manuk keeps right out the way of this lot. He don't want to get involved in this fight, that's for sure. So here comes the man that leads class and leads overall.
And has to go into the pits.
He's going to have to. He's working his way out of Panasonic corner right now. That's the home straight. Remember, you start your straight and then you go into pit lane. And so there is the pit lane entrance, and surely this time you must go in. Yes, he does.
Out into the pits. Oh, how's he going to slow it down in time? He does. Okay, so that means that this is the leading group that's coming through now. Dolenchik, Umpi Swart, and Chase Herald. That's the group that's coming through with the lap car of Byron Mitchell. Second overall in class is Willem Botha. Now, Willem Botha and Luke Lucchesi. That's what it's all about. Can Luke Lucchesi come out in time? Where is Luke? There's Luke Lucchesi. There's the white flag. And here comes Willem Botha. Lucchesi's got to keep going. And Johan Faurie's in there as well. Can he pick up enough time? Here comes Willem. He's got the lights flashing. He's saying, cheers, Luke. Have a nice day. You didn't time it right. No, Luke Lucchesi has a last gasp effort. And he doesn't manage to catch him on that one. So Willem Botha from Luke Lucchesi. From there's Johan Fourie. Oh, Johan Fourie gets tagged.
Yeah, Johan Fourie, I really thought he was in with a shout to get his nose ahead there of Botha, but he just had a horror show. Right, this indeed is the flag lap, and it's between these guys, busy working their way around. They're heading now towards the 300R, and Umpi Swart sits out there in P1. Dolenchik sits in second. Third is Chase Herald. Forget about the 7 car. It's not in this fight, as the three of them work their way around. They are now heading into Dunlop corner, turn 10, 11, 12. It's a horror show, that corners. You don't want to get it wrong as they work their way towards turn 13 and 14. They're heading towards the end of the lap. There's only 16 corners here, and the man that sits in P1 is Yuri Swart from Troy Dolenchik from Chase Herald.
Willem Botha, having timed it perfectly, stays ahead there of Luke Lucchesi. He's only half a tenth, and Johan Fourie, after getting tagged from behind, dropped one down, and that being behind the yellow mean machine of Petty Hubert.
Checkered flag is out as these guys race towards the line, and it's going to be side by side. It's going to be Dolenchik. Will it be Dolenchik that gets it? Towards the line they go. Dolenchik is pulled right to the right-hand side, and it's Dolenchik. It's surely going to win this one. Yes, he does. From Umpi Swart second, Chase Herald crosses the line in third.
Willem Botha going one-on-one. Oh, look, Lucchesi got him. Look, Lucchesi. Willem Botha's going slow. Why? Could he have run out of petrol? Surely not. So, Low Wrigley comes through. Willem Botha. And, Willem Botha gets that one ahead of Petty Hubert. And then Johan Fourie. And then the next man coming through is going to be Luke King. Remember, he had the off, and that took him completely out of sync with the group that he was with.
Then JJ van der Merwe will be the next one to the checkered flag, and 0.6 of a second behind him in P11 will be Robbie Teams.
Sure, hectic stuff. Herman Lazarus finds himself 7th overall in class and 12th on circuit. And he's got a decent gap between himself and Swayze Hubert.
Yeah, Space Schubert working his way out the last corner, heading towards the checkered flag. He's Space Schubert. He'll finish in that 13th position, nearly 5 seconds behind him. There you see Ian Riddle in that 14th position. There goes Space towards the checkered flag. Ian Riddle is 5.1 seconds behind him. Make that 5.2 as he brings that Castrol car towards the checkered flag. And then 10.3 seconds behind him is the sister Castrol car out there in 15th position of Willem Pina.
Yep, and then the man that had the crash earlier on, Captain Peter van der Spey, he completes his race as well. Nice colour scheme, Peter van der Spey, as he comes across the line.
And he is the last driver on the lead lap.
Wow. Well, Johan Ferry was very unlucky towards the end there, and just on the last lap getting tagged by one of the juniors, and yeah, that cost him one position. Well, it wasn't all bad. I mean, Mr. Ube in the yellow mean machine, Super Daisy, was lucky to be in the right place at the right time, but then again, he did it all right during the course of the race, and he was close enough to capitalize on that, and that brought him up to third position.
So we've got a 3-minute warm-up, and then we will do part 2.
Yep, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how that one's going to play itself out, because there's 20 cars, and it's top 20 invert. So if my calculation is correct, Eugene Manouk will be standing on a pole position, and the rest of the pack will all line up behind him. Now you've got a mixture of juniors and seniors. You've got a mixture of cars. You've got all the fastest guys coming off the back of the pack. So let's hope it doesn't turn into total utter chaos as the guys try and force their way through from the back. They just take their time, do it systematically, and work their way through. So as Frankie said, 3 minutes warm-up for those of you that have just joined us. We've got 2 races today. It's West Province Sports and GT Masters, and then including the Elites, 2 different cars, 2 different classes, but putting them all together. Balance of performance in favor of the Elites this time. The last time it was in favor of the Masters, and that being set up for us by Luke the Champ Lucchese. A big thanks to him, and this is a precursor to the new season that will be starting. Remember, week 1 of the month is MSA IRSA GT3, sponsored by Canvas Intelligence, and that's got 60,000 rands worth of prize money. The second week will be the Pro-Am Series, which is the next after the top 40 in South Africa. That's the Porsche Cup, and then from there on out, the third week will then be Clio Cup on the Monday, and if all goes well, the start of the initial proper season, the official season of West Province Sports and GT Masters and Elites, which is basically season 9 of Sports and GT Masters, with now a bit of a change up to bring some of the youngsters in as well.
Yeah. So those guys that want to go out and have a bit of a warm-up session, they are more than welcome to do so. Those that don't want to can just have a breather before we get into the second 25-minute race with the drive-through. So the temperature outside is 18 degrees with 3 km/h wind, partly cloudy. We come to you from the city of Uyama. That's where Fuji International Speedway is. 4.48 k's. Outside temperature is, track temperature I should say, is 23 degrees. Outside is 18, of course. So the warm-up session is done, and we're going to look at this grid. Well, Heidemann won't be there, or maybe we're lucky we do see him out there this time. Then Byron Mitchell, Chris Burish, Luke King, Low Wrigley, Chase Herald, Yuri Swart, and Troy Dolacek. That's the first 8 cars.
All right, then we got Eugene Manouk, Willem Pina. Okay, so did put it back in classes. Eugene Manouk,
Yeah.
Willem Pina, Peter van der Spey, Robbie Teens, Ian Riddle, Swayze Hubert, Johan Ferry. Oh, Johan Ferry is going to then be not too badly placed. From Herman Lesers, JJ van der Merwe, Pieter Hubert, Willem Botha, and Luke Lukezi then going to be coming off the back of the pack. So Luke and Willem got massive amounts of work to do with Pieter Hubert. They are marginally quicker than Pieter Hubert, but for them to get to the front, they've actually got to get past Pieter Hubert. Having said that, Frankie, Johan Ferry is in the game there as well.
So if you have a look at the Fuji circuit, you'll see that there is that very famous Mount Fuji, which is a volcano in Japan, and that track is built literally at the foot of Mount Fuji. As a matter of fact, Gary, let's give you a bit of a history lesson. The 1976 Formula One Grand Prix final was raced at this very same circuit in pouring rain, and that is the track where Niki Lauda retired and James Hunt finished in third position, and James became the 1976 Formula One World Champion. How's that for a bit of a history lesson?
Hunt the Shunt.
Yep.
But he's not around anymore. He was quite a character. He really was. Christopher Burish, welcome to the firing line. He finds himself on the front end of the grid.
Right, so here we go, as we'll get all the other information up for you now. The info, the track map, and the battle box. And then you can see where the guys are. They're slowing it right down, coming out of turn 16, Panasonic corner, working their way down the home straight.
Sorry, Frankie, now that they all mixed up, nobody's leaving any gaps. It's, oh, look at that, right on the last.
Safety car.
The safety car pulls off. Christopher Burish, welcome, baby. It's showtime. It's not going to be easy. Eugene Minuk comes up onto his spot on the grid on the second row. So it's Willem Pienaar that will probably get the whole shot. Let's see what Christopher Burish can do. And holding back is Johan Ferry. There Johan Ferry goes. And he's going to try and work it up on that outside line.
So Christopher Burish leads this bunch into turn number 1, or so he thinks, because Willem Pienaar is right in there. Burish will just hold there. He goes wide, he makes a mistake, and that will allow Pienaar through. Then Luke King sits there just behind Pienaar, but Chris Burish holds at this point in time. I'm not sure where they are on the circuit. They're probably heading now through Coca-Cola corner towards the 100R.
Yep, that's going to be interesting to see how that one's going to play itself out. Christopher Burish, he's got the whole shot for now.
Right, so that's the gap you see there between first and last. We'll show you the intervals now, but here comes Luke King up on the inside. Burish still holds there. As a matter of fact, Pienaar has gone up into that second position, and Chris Burish is... Oh, there's a trouble at the back of the field.
Low Wrigley and Ian Riddle. Oh, Johan Ferry and Ian Riddle has been involved there as well. Luke King has gone to the front just ahead of Christopher Burish.
So they're working their way now through Dunlop corner, turn 10, 11 and 12. Luke King sits out there in P1. Burish is not going to go down without a fight. He sits there in that second position. Then it is Willem Botha. Right behind him is Pienaar. Here comes Byron Mitchell. Now this time Byron is involved in the fight, and rightly so. Then Robbie Teings is, and Teings picks up the 57 car and turns him all the way around. That's Willem Pienaar that's dropping down the leaderboard.
Kind of hectic session that's been going on here so far. We'll show you some of those crashes and smashes once the most of the initial lap is gone. So Luke King from Christopher Burish, it's Byron Mitchell, that's Willem Botha, it's Robbie Teings just ahead of Pieter Hubert and Swayze Hubert. Then it's Troy Dolanchik is the next one coming through from Ompie Swart, and straight away going into the pits, I think that was
Luke
Lukezi that went into the pits. So he's going for the early run, and Johan Ferry has gone into the pits as well. Let's just see whereabouts are they. There he comes along there. And where is Johan? Johan Ferry is just behind him. There you see Johan Ferry on the right hand side. So the two of them going for the early push, and Luke King's making this one count. Byron Mitchell, that was a lap behind, got past Christopher Burish. Christopher in his third race, I think, ever in iRacing with us in South Africa. Welcome. ex-South African 1660 champion and a reigning 2.1 modified saloons under Motorsport South Africa.
Yeah, so let's have a look and see. Here comes Willem Botha. Botha sitting first in class and fourth overall. Here comes Dollarcheck, that sits in fourth in class and fifth overall. Then we've got Pieter Joubert. Right behind Pieter Joubert is Yuri Swart. And right behind him is Robbie Teens, as they work their way into turn 10, 11 and 12. And then right behind Teens is Swys Joubert. And then 2.5 seconds behind him in P10 is the other lead driver, and that is Chase Herald.
So Umpri Schwartz getting onto the back there of Pieter Joubert. Pieter Joubert that finds himself second in class. And it looks like Umpi's got a little bit of connectivity problems that's happening for him at the moment. But so far so good. He goes up on that inside line, and I think he's going to make it on Joubert. Yep. Which of the two cars going to be quicker in the straight line? It should be. Yes, it is. It's Umpi that's quicker in the straight line. That car is inherently quicker. And the fastest lap being put up there by Luke King. And Troy Dollarcheck's just gone past Willem Botha.
Yeah, and he's got the quickest lap now with Dollarcheck with a 154.570 and a whole lot of personal bests coming up there in green.
Well, there we see them coming through into the corner hard on the brakes as they turn it in. Robbie Teens and Swys Joubert with Pieter Joubert just in front of that. Now remember, Pieter Joubert made up that one position on Johan Ferrier right at the end of the last race, and he now had a third in race number 1 in class. He's now second in class and 7th out on track.
Right, Pieter Joubert busy working his way through the 100R, making his way up towards the hairpin. Just ahead of him you saw Yuri Swart. There's Luke King, that's the leader. And Luke is heading into Dunlop corner. Byron Mitchell sitting in that second position. He's making his way towards Dunlop corner. And then behind them is Troy Dollarcheck. That's made the move stick there on Chris Burish. Burish dropping down into that fourth position. And then right behind them is the leader of the Masters, and that is Willem Botha. And on his case there is Yuri Swart, followed by Pieter Joubert.
Second overall in class. Then Chase Herald, that is fifth overall in class at this stage of the fight. And then behind that, the man that's third in class, that is Robbie Teens, and Swys Joubert's right there with him.
Yeah, 0.6 of a second between Robbie and Swys for P8 and 9 overall on track. That's not where they're lying in class, that's where they are overall on the circuit. But we go back up and we have a look there at Van der Spy. And Peter Van der Spy busy working his way around, but I think Van der Spy he's in that 12th position. Is Van der Spy, and he's having a lovely fight there with Herman Lazarus. There's 0.4 of a second between the two of them.
Willem Botha closing up heavily under braking there onto the back of Umpri Swart. The GR88s, they turn pretty well, I must say. You just can't turn and brake at the same time. Pick one and do that one, leave the other one out of it. But in the straight line, these sports cars that are very low slung, a good power to weight ratio is quicker than the GR88 under those circumstances.
Right, so Willem Botha sits first in class, fifth overall. Here comes Swys Joubert, and Robbie Teens that is just there ahead of him. There's Teens and there's Joubert just behind them, 0.7 of a second between these two, and then right behind them is Low Wrigley.
So Pieter Joubert right in there where it counts, and well, he's doing a brilliant job at this stage of the fight. So let's go back to the front end. Oh, I see Eugene Manouk's gone into the pit. So it's Luke King that leads them out very, very neatly. I must say, he's doing a brilliant job of this one. Even the likes of Byron Mitchell, there you see Luke at the front. There's Byron Mitchell, and Byron's driven away from Troy Dollarcheck at the moment, and they're not that far behind that. There he comes to now. Ooh, slowing completely down. That's quite strange what happened there. Troy Dollarcheck had a bit of a slow moment. He comes in there behind Umpri Swart, and then the leader of the Masters is there behind that. That is Willem Botha. Willem Botha's got Chase Herald sandwiched between himself and second in class Petty Hubert. Then we go back to Robbie Teams, has done a lovely job. He's third in class, Low Wrigley, and then from Swayze Hubert in the Valvoline car. But you must remember that Low Wrigley is in the car that's faster in a straight line, and he'll probably close up onto the back of Robbie Teams, climb up on the inside of Robbie Teams, and well, under braking, you'll probably find that Robbie Teams will close up again, because, as I said, that GR88 under braking is very, very good. There you see as he closes up the gap. But once, getting under a bit of pressure there. Low Wrigley, our sponsor of the previous fund race for West Rivers Sports and GT Masters, alongside the Elites. Today, sponsored by 2+3 Post-Production, Stephen Lindsay.
Yeah, that's a lovely fight there. Low has got them racked and stacked. He's got Teams and he's got Swayze Hubert right there on his case. So those are two Toyota GR86s. He's right in there. If we go back and we have a look at this one, that is Umpi Swart and Dollar Check. They're sitting third and fourth overall and in class. And Troy looks up on the inside, going into Dunlop corner. And Umpi says, I'm not giving this one up. The line briefly belonged there to Dollar Check, but they are side by side heading into turns 13 and turns 14, and then into Nets corner, which is turn 15, which takes you immediately into turn 16, Panasonic corner.
Fighting it out for 5th and 6th position is Peter van der Spey and Herman Lazarus. And, well, there's 0.7 between them now, but it was even less than that earlier on. So Peter van der Spey having a pretty decent run. But I think the man of the moment in the seniors is that man, Willem Botha. Brilliant stuff.
Botha, yeah, that's for sure. He is right in there between the elite, so to speak. And then Peter Hubert sitting 7th in class and 2nd overall. Then we go to Robbie Teams. That is third in class, and right behind him is Swayze Hubert. And then we've got Chris Burish, and then behind him we've got these masters coming towards us. That is Lazarus and Peter van der Spey. There's a 10th of a second between these two, sitting in P12 and 13th overall as they work their way into turn number 1. And van der Spey is having a go at Lazarus. He is on the inside of Herman Lazarus as they work their way into turn 1. So Peter van der Spey will have the line for turn 1, but Lazarus runs it wide. And Chris Burish, I saw, was just off circuit here as well. And these two are still going one-on-one with each other. Herman van der Spey, Herman, listen to me. Peter van der Spey.
Pick one, Frankie, pick one.
I just spliced them together. Peter van der Spey side by side with Herman Lazarus.
It's like me calling one of you to FC Yennis.
Yeah.
It's either FC Nieuwoud or Frank Yennis. You can't actually splice the two together. But either way, don't forget about the guy that's going up front. He's done a brilliant job. Look at that. And look at the gap that he's got. Almost 3 seconds on that man, Byron Mitchell, who will be leading the Libras Cape Town versus Gauteng on a Saturday. Oops, he just loses the tail end. A second time. Oh, he looks like he's actually practicing drifting with that motor car. So him and his girlfriend, Kelly Fletcher, they'll both be out there. Troy Dolenchik comes into view. Right in there behind him is Umpi Swart. The two of them having a great time. Troy Dolenchik leading the Formula 1600 Investchem 2023 championship. He was, in fact, the rookie of the year last year, and this year he's leading, and that carries 250,000 rands worth of prize money. It's going to be good stuff.
But look who's coming behind them. It is Chase Herald as the leader of the Masters. Willem Botha makes his way for his pit lane drive-through, and Robbie Teams comes through as well, and Swayze Hubert continues.
Yeah, Swayze Hubert decides he's going to go through, and that'll take him up through to that second position. Well, Swayze Hubert, and where's Robbie Teams? There's Robbie Teams. And where is Swayze? Swayze has already gone past. There's Robbie. And then she is... Oh, look at that battle that's coming through there now. Peter van der Spey. Are they going to get past? Yes, Peter van der Spey and then Herman Lazarus. Both of them will get past as well. But remember, they've still got to do their pit stops. And Peter van der Spey, as always, the gentleman, moves towards the outside. Christopher Burish, the man that started on the front row of the grid, the new kid on the block. He's actually doing a pretty decent job. If you think how long all of the other guys have been driving iRacing already. Ian Riddle is busy with his drive-through as well. And let's not forget about this man. One of his best drives. He always drives well, but this is one of his best. And he's taken 13 seconds out of Umpi.
Yeah, Luke King. Now remember, don't forget the fact that Luke Lucchesi and Johan Fourie made their pit stops earlier. Luke is in 13, Johan is in 16th at this point in time. When all these others dive in and out the pits, hopefully we'll see Luke and Johan move up the leaderboard in class. Remember, their fights is not with the elites, and talking about the elites, overall leader Luke King is in the pit area.
Okay, so he's coming in to do his official pit stop. There's Luke King, and Umpi Swart will be closing up pretty quickly, and there goes Umpi, and he brings Byron Mitchell with him.
And here comes Chase Herald as well. That's currently in that fourth position. As a matter of fact, he does go through, so Luke King so far dropped down into that fifth position. Let's have a look, see where he will filter back out again as we have a look at these three fighting it out there with each other. Troy Dolacek, Yuri Swart, Byron Mitchell, first, second and third, and not too far behind them. 4.3 as a matter of fact is Chase Herald.
Christopher Burish finds the pit lane a decent... Oh, he gets nailed from behind. He slowed it down just a little bit more than what was required by Peter van der Spain, Herman Lazarus, but all's well that ends well. We do have the damage control is off, so Herman Lazarus, Peter van der Spain, Christopher Burish all walking their way through the pits and out the other side. Umpi Swart has gone to the front with Byron Mitchell and Troy Dolenchik, the three frequent flyers, starting to make a bit of a breakaway now from Chase Herald. I don't think it'll take too long before Chase will catch up to them. Luke King, that's been in and out of the pits, he finds himself in the sixth position. Peter Hubert is now the leader in class, so that means that man, Swayze Hubert, 13 seconds behind him, and then Willem Botha. I think Willem's been into the pits already. So
that's happening so fast out there.
You'll probably find that Willem
Botha was in pits, yes.
Correct. So he'll go back to the probably front end of the field. And then remember, that man has been in already, Luke Lucchesi. Johan Fourie finds himself a little bit further back. There goes Robbie Teams with JJ van der Merwe in his favorite color, and behind that is Johan Fourie. So he must have had a bit of a bad one somewhere, because Johan hasn't been able to hold on to the back of Luke Lucchesi.
Got to go to that front four. It's absolute pandemonium out there. Here they go. Here they go in the Spec Racer Ford as they work their way into turn number one. That's on board here with Chase Herald. Looks up on the inside of Dolacek. Now we look at them. They are side by side, and Chase Herald gets his nose right there with them. That's the four of them. Dolacek is in that fight. He's got Mitchell on his outside. He has got Herald that sits out there in P1, and in that fourth position is Yuri Swart.
Nothing much between them. Let's right on board here with Troy Dolenchik. Low Wrigley and Peter Hubert into the pits.
Yeah, here we go. Dolacek sitting there in that second place. He is chasing down Mitchell, that's now got the lead. All of these four have had the lead. Make it five, because Luke King, that's 6.1 behind Swart, also had the lead at one point in time. So all of them either is in the lead or had the lead at one point in time. They are chopping and changing all the way. And for now, it is Dolacek that sits out there in P1. Mitchell sits in second. Herald sits in third. And fourth will go to Swart, but the lead changes. It goes into the hands of Mitchell. But Dolacek will not let go. Here comes Swart. He sits on the right-hand side of Chase Herald. It's absolute chaos out there. But brilliant driving by these youngsters.
Yep, Chase Herald works his way up into that third position, just ahead of Umpi Swart. A bit of contact between Byron and Troy. Byron on the inside line, Troy on the outside. Umpi runs it up on that inside line and goes ahead there of Chase Herald. That's the front four. So how far is Luke King behind them? That is a visual back to Luke King. And then Christopher Burish is in fact a lap down. So the leader in the Masters, Willem Botha. Wow, brilliant stuff. But he's still got to go into the pits. And his second problem, the first problem he's got is called pit stop. The second problem is, in fact,
Sway Schubert. 1.8 behind him, and then you got Low Wrigley behind them, but he's in the lead class, and look who's on their case. In P9, Luke Lucchesi is right there with them, and he is only 0.8 of a second ahead of Peter Hubert. There you see Van der Merwe come through. He's 11 seconds behind Peter Hubert, and right there with him is Robbie Teens and Johan Fourie. As a matter of fact, Teens and Fourie are virtually side by side.
A lot of people making it look like they're going to go into the pits, and then they don't actually go in. So it's been pretty interesting stuff. So Willem Botha from Sway-Schubert, I don't think either of them have been into the pits yet, which means probably Luke Lucchesi and Peter Hubert are then lying first and second in class. I do believe when Willem Botha comes in and out, he should be just ahead of a JJ van der Merwe. A big thanks to 2+3 post-production, Stephen Duplessis. They situated in Salt River in Cape Town, and yeah, they've got some lovely studios. I actually want to go make a turn there and go and see how they do it. I see one of the Toyota South Africa ads was in fact made by them as well. 19 minutes, 10 seconds into 25 minutes of a race number 2. We come at you from Fuji International Speedway.
Yeah, at the foot of Mount Fuji. Right, so now it is Yuri Swart that leads this. Look at this. There is nothing separating these four. It's a pity the 77 car isn't in the fight. He is all the way down in 18th position. So it is Swart. How do you call this? Because this chop and changes all the time. Look at that fight for second, third and fourth. They are right next to each other, and they are leaning on each other as well. Dollarcheck and Dollarcheck is busy giving somebody a work over there. As a matter of fact, it is unreal how these guys are busy giving each other work over. It was Luke King that he was actually giving a work over. Now, Swart, Mitchell and Harold is in pit lane.
Yep, there they go into pit lane, and he does a complete pit stop. So keep in mind that, okay, Umpi's in there as well. You see, some of them are doing a stop, and some of them are doing just a drive-through. I don't know how that's going to play itself out.
Well, yeah, we'll have a look and see how this one pans out with 5 minutes left on the clock before we see the checkered flag. There is Willem Botha coming towards us. He sits fourth overall. Here comes Luke Lucchesi, fourth overall and first in class. Luke Lucchesi fifth overall and second in class. 2.8 between Botha and Lucchesi. And Sway Schubert is in pit lane as well.
Yep, he has got to go into the pit lane, so that will get his one sorted out. So he's almost on the edge of a top 5. The problem for Willem Botha right now is he's got Luke Lucchesi just behind him, and he's got that other class car that is there with him, and that's making things pretty difficult for him. That's Low Wrigley, our sponsor of the previous round. He moves out of the way and he says, okay, I know you are the class leader. I'm going to get involved with that, but I'm not going to give it to you. If I can just blow around the outside and use my power to weight ratio, I'll do such. And oh, very close under braking.
Well, I'm going to watch that fight between Botha and Lucchesi. There's 2.5 seconds between the two of them. They are fighting for P4 and 5 and first and second in their class. There is Willem Botha, and just ahead of Botha is Low Wrigley, but Low is in a different class completely. Here comes Luke Lucchesi. It's now 2 seconds. The gap is closing between Botha and Lucchesi as Dollarcheck and King, our two front runners, is now in pit lane.
Okay, so Low Wrigley, what does he do? Is he going to go in? I don't think he's been into the pits yet. Is he going to say, well, at least I led one lap overall? And that's exactly what Willem Botha doesn't want, is for Low Wrigley to stay out there. And how far are these guys? Oh, still a long way to go down the pit lane. Low Wrigley is going to work his way up to the sharp end of the field, and he's going to say, well, I led the race at some point, and Troy Dollarcheck and the guys are going to come in behind him.
Yeah, here comes Willem Botha. Right on his case there is Lucchesi, but coming through there is Dollarcheck and King. There, the 19 car is Dollarcheck. The 43 car is Luke King of Dotsoft Racing. as the two of them are fighting it out for that third and fourth positions. That's second and third so far in class, because Low Wrigley is the man that is leading the class, 1.2 between himself and the leader of the Masters in second position. That is Willem Botha. There is Dollarcheck, there is King right behind him in that 43 car, and 1.5 seconds behind the two of them is the man that is second in the Masters, and that is Luke Lucchesi.
To the best of my knowledge, I don't think Willem Botha has been into the pits yet. Should that be the case, that means that on that time that they come through, he's going to have to go into the pits. So Willem, spinning on the last there with a 19 car, and that was Troy Dollarcheck trying just a little bit too hard.
No, Botha was in the pit lane. I did see him come through and drive out the other side.
Wow, then that means that he has done a brilliant job. Low Wrigley, has he been into the pits? I do not think so. We'll have to see when they come around if those got to go into the pits, because we're on 23 minutes and 47 seconds. Should that happen, that he's got to come into the pits still, and doesn't look like it.
I just saw Byron Mitchell get his nose ahead there of Luke Lucchesi, but that won't faze Luke too much because they're not in the same class. So we are approaching 50 seconds to go. The white flag is out, and this is the final lap.
Wow, look at that line astern. Everybody ends up on the straight together one way or another. And, Willem Botha, Luke Lucchesi, Petty Hubert set for a top three. Low Wrigley, Luke King and Byron Mitchell set for a top three as well. Look at that. Two of them so close to one another. And Umpi Swart and Troy Dollarcheck. Troy Dollarcheck dives out onto that inside line, and he will take that one away. And looks like he might even bring Chase Herald with. No, Chase was not close enough at that stage of the fight. So if you look on the track map on the right hand side, you'll see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is the front seven as they work their way around. So let's go to the man that sponsored the last round, Low Wrigley. A big thanks to 2+3 Post Productions, Stephen Duplessis, for financing tonight's fun round before we go into the official 2023 Sports and GT Masters Plus Elites.
So through Dunlop Corner goes the man that sits out there in P1 through turn 11, turn 12. That is Low Wrigley. The checkered flag will be ready for Low, working his way through Nets corner. That is turn 15 towards the final corner, turn 16, which is Panasonic. He'll be making his way through Panasonic corner now, and onto the main straight he goes, where the checkered flag, and he spins it around on the last corner. He's going to lose that lead. Oh my word, he's going to, he's lost the lead, and it is going to be Willem Botha. Here they come towards the line. Luke King is going to fight back. Luke King gets back into the lead again. Luke King's heart will be thumping. As a matter of fact, King comes home in P1. Mitchell finishes second, and third and first in the Masters class will be Willem Botha. And only then Low Wrigley crosses the line. Oh, what did he do on that final corner?
Petty Hubert third in class, Troy Dollarcheck, Umpi Swart, and then Johan Fourie comes through fourth in his class. That just ahead of Robbie Tings, JJ van der Merwe, Swace Hubert, the next man that's going to be coming through there. Willem Botha from Luke Lucchesi, Petty Hubert, Johan Fourie, Robbie Tings, JJ van der Merwe, and then Swace Hubert from Peter van der Spey. And then the juniors, Luke King from Byron Mitchell, Low Wrigley, Chase Herald, Troy Dollarcheck and Umpi. The two of them very close onto the back of a Chase. So Chase actually beat the two of them in the last couple of corners and ended up, because he was behind Troy and Yuri, and he in fact just got ahead of them.
So Peter van der Spey finishes in that 14th position overall. Here comes Ian Riddle, and he's still got a bit of a fight there with Pienaar, the two Castrol cars side by side, but it's going to be Riddle that gets to the flag just ahead there of Pienaar.
Christopher Burish, GC Concretes out there in Mossel Bay, the new kid on the block, very accomplished in oval track racing, gravel under MSA and Boomsa. And Yeah, we're going to see him riding the SA Champs at Oudtshoorn in the not too distant future. Towards I think it's the third week in September, he'll be out there defending the Motorsport South Africa's 1660 Modified Salute Championship title. And he'll come across the line, does Christopher Burish. And then just one more car to come through behind him. That'll be Eugene Manouk. He's had a pretty clean outing there, Eugene Manouk. The Topo Pilotus sponsored car of Eugene comes across the line.
So, 19 of the 20 cars took to the field, and all 19 of those cars finished. Was only Carl Heidemann that never took part in the qualifying sessions or in race 1 and 2.
So for the feature race, that's our turn. Looking very, very good, I must say. Ahead there of Byron Mitchell and Low Wrigley, first, second and third in class.
Yeah, that was a bad luck there for Low. He had it, then spun it around in turn 16, the final corner.
How many corners are there on the track?
16.
And he turned around in?
16.
I rest the jury rests its case. What a pity for him. Looking from Byron Mitchell, Low Wrigley, just outside of the top three, but having a lovely dice there. Chase Harold and Troy Dolenchik. I see Umpi Swart dropped a long way down, so something must have gone wrong. I probably find they were then playing around. He spun it before he came to the line.
No, Gary, remember everybody went through the pits for a drive-through. Umpi did an actual pit stop, and I think that is what just chucked him completely out of it, because the pit stop will take longer than the actual drive-through, and everybody did the drive-through. He did the pit stop, and that is what caused him the unfortunate damage.
Well, look, remember, that is why we ran the first version of this, did a bit of homework, saw that the straight line speed variation and the corner speed variation between the two different cars and the two different classes was uneven, the one car being a lot quicker in the straight and the other car being a lot quicker through the corners, and that created a little bit too much passing and then unfortunate incidents. Hence a lot of homework being done by Luke Lekizi to determine how to get the balance of performance, what they class as the BOP, to get that correct. And then the last time it was who was at the front last time? It was the seniors that was at the front with a quicker car, so they swapped it around now. They married the juniors with a quicker car, hence Luke King and Byron Mitchell coming up ahead there of the likes of Luke Lucchese, who went for the early pit stop. I don't know what happened there to Johan Ferree. He ended up third in class, but it just didn't work out for him towards the end. Let's have a look and see if we can pick up that.
You know what, Gary? He had actually just had Harold and Dolenchik ahead of him in that second race. So, yeah, third in class. That's, excuse me, exactly what he would have wanted. And that's what he got. So, a big thanks to 2+3 Post Productions, Mr. Stephen Duplessis. They're here in Cape Town in the Salt River area. And we say a big thanks to Stephen for the sponsorship of this one. So, Gary, this coming weekend, we got some big stuff, and let's just pray that the weather holds out, because that you don't want to have a wet race. I know you like it, but
I love it.
You got to understand, people don't come and race if it rains out.
That's the one thing.
So then you got, it's going to be all fun and games, but you got nobody racing, because everybody says, I don't get paid, I'm not a paid race driver, so I'm not going to come and race if it rains. And then half the entrance for the day stays at home. So, and that's not what we want. We want a full day's racing, full fields. So let's hope that the weather somehow can play along for this coming Saturday.
Yeah, look, most of the guys have got wet weather tyres, but if it's pouring with rain, you don't have wet weathers, that you've got to go out there in slicks, it's just not going to happen. So, yeah, and obviously remember, for the bikers, it's a completely different scenario as well. Some of them actually love it. Byron Mitchell saying that he wouldn't mind the wet, going up against the guys from Gauteng on the wet in his local circuit. He doesn't mind. But as he says, his lovely lady Kelly Fletcher's praying out loud every night, saying, please, no rain. It's not what she wants whatsoever. So that wraps it up from the Second Gear Production Studio in a conjunction with 2+3 Post Productions, Stephen Duplessis, myself, Gary Fleming, and Frankie Yennis. Thanks very much for joining us, and good night to you, one and all.